Hola, bom dia. Carl Munson here, just after 9 o'clock on April the 20th, 2020. In the middle of this coronavirus COVID-19 event phenomenon here in Portugal, reporting to you in English and connecting the community in Portugal of expats, foreigners, immigrants, whatever you want to call yourselves, just saying hello to you and providing a bit of a meeting point really for the information. So let's start with that information, the facts and figures of what's going on, and I will go to my go-to guy, Craig Morfitt. Coming up later on, if you are a regular viewer of this live stream, you'll know that we're moving towards more self-sufficiency, self-reliance, and as our way of dealing with the probable future connected with coronavirus, COVID-19, and the likely recession, economic recession. Let's not generalize that into an event for all of humanity. The economy is only part of our lives, of course, and albeit a very important part it's become, but maybe we can lessen our dependency on it and not let it make us so miserable so much of the time as it seems to do, and emerge from this phoenix-like with a slightly different relationship to money, business, and livelihood. That's my plan anyway. And slightly aching from being in the garden yesterday by virtue of this rascal here. You ever seen one of those? Look, it's looks like what, ginger almost, but it's a really woody stem on the plant there, and a back-breaking work digging that rascal out of the ground yesterday here on our homestead, where we're looking forward to welcoming some chickens soon, probably today. Loads more planting, and thanks to everybody in the Happy Homestead group, which is the group of this Good Morning Portugal live stream, where everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are growing their own, and other wannabes are looking and seeing what's going on, and we're supporting each other in growing our own food and creating our own sort of livelihood and homestead in there. So thanks to everyone who's in the Happy Homestead group. Anyway, I did say I was going to share some facts and figures with you, which is what we normally do at the beginning of this live stream, which is also on YouTube. Thanks to everybody who's a YouTube subscriber, and thanks to everybody who listens on the podcast as well. Well over, I think, 10,500 downloads of our podcast now. COVID update from the go-to guy, as I say, Craig Morfitt, sporting his mask. Maybe I should be doing this with a mask on to convey the right sort of image. But Portugal now has 20,206 confirmed cases, says Craig, who provides a really good update in Porto Expats on Facebook, as you can see here. An increase of 521 cases in the past 24 hours, showing a daily growth rate of 2.6% of the day before, which would have been the 18th, the day before yesterday. We have had another 27 fatalities, bringing the death toll to 714 in Portugal. That represents a 3.9% increase in deaths, and the increase the day before on the 18th was 4.5. So curve flattening in front of our very eyes. I think the reporting at weekends does slow down, which is something to take into account. But I don't want to be undermining anything that Craig is saying there. The pattern is looking good. The number of COVID patients admitted to hospital has decreased to 1,243. It was 1,253 on the 18th, and 224 of them are in intensive care, 228 on the 18th. Northern region, Porto, now accounts for 12,000, or over 12,000 of the confirmed cases, and of the 409 fatalities. Villanova de Gaia, 1,035, looks set to overtake Lisbon at 1,038 cases as the municipality with the second highest number of confirmed cases. Excuse me. Porto currently has the most cases at 1,059. An additional 24,893 tests for suspected cases were recorded yesterday. That was the 18th, bringing the total number of suspected cases to 187,604. Of those, 162,439 have tested negative, and the figure was 137,860 on the 18th. And 4,959 are awaiting results. Now, Craig assumes that some kind of accounting adjustment is responsible for such a large number of negative tests. That's 24,500 just over, being recorded on a single day and contributing to that huge jump in total suspected cases for the day. It's also notable that despite this huge increase in negative tests and suspected cases, the total number of tests, which he's showing below, remains the same as yesterday. The total number of testing swabs that have been used, including retests on the same patients, remains, look at that, over 235,878. It was the same figure as the day before, so there's no change there. 610 people now shown as having recovered. Awesome. I understand that this is an artificially low number, as testing of clinically recovered persons has not been a priority. Each person is required to have 2 negative tests before being declared to have recovered, as we've said before here. And he points to some interesting news here in this Porto expat update. Before we go there, let's see if there's any hellos this morning. Let me know who you are, where you are, if you tuned in this morning. I don't know where all the gang are this morning. Maybe they've had a very busy weekend like me, and they are still having a lie-in this morning. So maybe catch you on YouTube. And the authorities detained 184 people for the crime of disobedience during the second state of emergency, or second stage of the state of emergency, which ran from the 3rd of April to the 17th of April. So we're now in the third state, or third stage of the state of emergency. This was due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Ministry of Internal Affairs reported this 184 people and who were detained for the crime of disobedience. The number resulting from the inspection by the Public Security Police, the PSP, and the Republican National Guard, the GNR, shows an increase in arrests compared to the first period of the state of emergency between March 22nd and April 2nd, in which 108 people were detained for the crime of disobedience. Okay, and interesting article here. A hostel with about 200 people located in Lisbon was evacuated this morning. That was on the 19th, due to a positive case of COVID-19. The withdrawal operation of about 200 people started at 7 a.m. after a positive case was detected, and that is already in isolation. Must be terrifying saying something like that and that happening. According to Carlos Castro, it is predicted that at the end of the day, anyone who is negative can return to the hostel, while another answer will be found for the cases that are positive. Blimey, can you imagine? Would you want to go back? An article in Publico compares Portugal's quick response to the virus with those of other countries and looks at how the country will emerge from lockdown. And this is the thought, isn't it, on everybody's mind at the moment, that being thrown a bone by governments around the world, that lockdown may be lifted, bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I know there's growing frustration among people, I think, and tempered, with an understanding of why we need to be in isolation. But that's a real tension, I believe, that's growing. In Portugal, there were only 3 deaths recorded by, this is the continuing of the article in Publico, only 3 deaths recorded by COVID-19 when the state of emergency was declared. In Spain, an emergency was declared when the country already had 84 deaths and more than 3,000 cases of infection. In the UK, which took measures later, the day schools closed was the same day that emergency powers came into effect, and there were 281 deaths, 5,683 cases. In France, there were already 562 deaths and 14,000 cases before they sprang into action. Macron's taking a very interesting approach, isn't he? Just very interesting to see the national characters of countries and the leadership responding to this at the moment. That's my view, not from the article. Portugal was one of the quickest to take action, going back to the Publico article here, courtesy of Craig Morfitt. But this was only possible because there was a time advantage that allowed us to see what was happening in other geographies where the virus had arrived first. Yeah, it was, I think, very useful for Portugal. Small population, the way the population spread around as well. You can see, how the different infections take place in the north compared to the rest of the less densely populated parts of the country. Like I was going to say perfect storm. That's not really the right way of putting it, but Portugal is well placed and demographically strong, I think, in terms of how it can respond, and it would appear some good leadership as well. In Portugal, the third state of emergency lasts until 2nd of May and should not be renewed, is the talk, certainly from this article, so that economic activity can gradually begin to revive. So a lot of focus on this all around the world at the moment. I think it's dawning on people, isn't it, that the economy is ground to a halt. Where's the money going to come from? The usual motor of the economy, of course, is trade and business and these day-to-day interactions that we have economically, and some hope, even pressure, to bring that about again. Going back to this article, Prime Minister says that the economic reopening will imply mandatory use of masks in public transport and schools. The 11th and 12th year students will again take face-to-face classes, but will start later than normal working hours, so they do not run into the other public transport workers. So clearly this is all being thought about, and I suspect planned, for a slow return, balancing the needs of the economy that we appear to. I see it as an addiction personally. I think there are other ways of doing this, but I guess it would be natural to want to return to what we knew as normal in many ways, whilst balancing the needs of not increasing infection. Toughest challenge ever, right? The European Commission recognises that lifting confinement measures will inevitably result in an increase in the number of new cases and perhaps new isolation measures. Therefore, whatever decision is made, it must be based on science. I don't know that to me that's ringing less and less as a sort of note of confidence. Anyway, let's have a look. Let's see who's around this morning. No one's around at the moment. Where are you all? I think something else I wanted to share was a way of responding to this personally. That would be thank you to Beyond Lisbon's Katia Lima. Picture of a Viking. I can't go out because of the virus. It sounds weak saying that. It sounds weak, whiny, and boring, it says in this picture. Try instead. I have sworn an oath of solitude until the pestilence is purged from the lands. And I think you'd agree, as it says here, it sounds more valiant and heroic. People might even think you are carrying a sword if you say that. So there you go. Say that. I've sworn an oath of solitude until the pestilence is purged from these lands. So I also wanted to share with you something from Overgrow the System. So let's do that. Let's share my screen with you with Overgrow the System. This is the way forward as far as I'm concerned. Oh yeah, there we go. There's the Viking there, and that's not the screen I want to share with you. I already told you about that. The one I want to share with you is this one, and it is Overgrow the System. Now, I'm going to have someone on here. I'm going to have my friend Lyndon Forster from the UK, who's thinking of running a permaculture course, a growing course online. And so we'll interview him about that soon, because that is the direction of travel here with the Happy Homesteaders and the Good Morning Portugal live stream. But look, here's one of the founders of permaculture, Bill Mollison. How does rebellion really look? What does rebellion really look like, according to Bill Mollison? Get ready for the capitalism collapse, he says. Number one, learn to plant not only an orchard, but also basic crops, corn, grain, cassava, etc., and trees, fruit, native, and woody. That's number one. Number two, create a bond with some land, whether it's yours or that of a relative, a project, a community garden, etc. Participate with the people who live there. Go gradually looking for ways to spend more time in the countryside than in the city. Learning to plant, purify water, treat organic waste, and heal in nature. That alone is great advice, isn't it? And how many have we got here? We've got 8 tips to go through here. We could stop there. That's a good start. But number 3, develop practical skills, cooking, carpentry, machine repair, food processing, sewing, etc. I'm sure a lot of people are doing that at the moment. Teach these skills to children, friends, and neighbors. Number 4, seek a mutual support group where people take care of each other, make products of basic need collectively, such as natural hygiene products. People do make soap, don't they? A lot of these off-gridders, homesteaders, see that in Pure Portugal Group. And we'll be working more closely with Pure Portugal, talking to their community on a regular basis here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream. So yeah, natural remedies such as syrups and herbal tinctures, food processing such as preserved and fermented food. Doing that here at Casa Munson, here at the former Pension Bandeira. And this is becoming a little bit of a mini an urban farm, hopefully food forest around our margins here. Number 5, simplify your life now, releasing more space and time. Oh, yes. Discover everything you can do without money, walk, exercises, crafts and body art, socialize with your loved ones and gardening. Not the most brilliantly written sentence, but you get the gist there. Discover everything you can do without money. Go walking, exercising, crafting, and body arts, whatever they are. Socialize with your loved ones. Number 6, separate from the logic of consuming more and more. They prefer handmade products that last a long time. They being the people here, I think, who are overgrowing the system. Quality, made by small producers, social companies, and solidarity economic companies. I think this has been translated, but you get the gist. Make exchanges, give and receive gifts of effective value rather than financial value. Very nice. Think about the impact rather than the cost, I guess. 7, exchange, store, multiply, and spread Creole seeds, the native seeds, not genetically modified, produced by popular and family farming. That's really important. I think 3 companies that own a massive percentage of the seed patents, I guess. You wouldn't have thought you could do that, but I think the rights to seeds have been wisely, you could argue, I use that word advisedly, by huge seed companies monopolizing really access to seed. So yeah, let's go for the non-GMO ones. And these are my opinions, by the way, and a talking point for you. Get away from the massive seed companies who I don't think have our best interests at heart, funnily enough. And number 8, recognize that life will be much better afterwards. That's particularly prescient, isn't it? And useful at this time, appropriate. Number 8, recognize that life will be much better afterwards, after this is all over, this coronavirus, COVID-19 phenomenon that we're going through, and what the bump that it is producing for us. We could foresee a better life after this, right? Rather than accepting the inevitable austerity that will be delivered to us by our governors. We're just transitioning, is what it says here. Our creativity is the limit of the system. There you go. That's from the Mason Street City Farm. #permaculture. We will be learning more about permaculture in due course. So it's a bit quiet on the stream this morning. That might be because I've changed my... Oh, I see. I've gone out on the wrong... Yes, I've gone out on the wrong stream because I changed my Facebook. I changed my Facebook settings this morning. So I think we're going to have more action on YouTube when I release it later on. Just want to share one more thing with you. I'm not sure if I... Yeah, I'm going to have to go with this now. And... own up to my error here. I changed my Facebook settings because I didn't want Facebook following me around whilst I wasn't on Facebook. And as usual, that's a good thing, it does create problems as well. And that's what's happened this morning. So one last thing to share with you this morning, and that would be... I feel a bit of an oaf for not getting that right. But anyway, a Portugal, Central and Northern Portugal Properties for Sale Facebook group. And this is from Mario Marques. I've featured this property before. And here we can see it's quite incredible, actually. It says 79,000. You're going to have to check, actually, with Mario, whether that is pounds or euros. But he's reduced it to 68 in whichever currency it is. And you can see here 1 hectare of urban land with 3 buildings, all legalized with habitation license, pool and pump house. And urban land, it looks like rural land to me. And anyway, it has a barbecue area, 3 barbecues, I think, in there altogether. Outbuilding with storage and gas bottle area, infrastructures to all other buildings, borehole along with town services, fencing along all of its border. Great place for a business venture while having your own accommodation. 79,000 euros, not pounds. 79,000 euros, or owner financing available at 42,000 down and 675 euros per month. This guy, Mario, is producing his own kind of mortgage system here over 5 years near Oliveira do Hospital. So look, should we have a look through some of these pictures here of this marvelous place? Look at that. Always funny, isn't it, showing pictures of toilets? But look, it's ready to move into. That's what we can assess and see from this. A fabulous off-gridding potential here, although seems to be a lot of mod cons there. And look at that in central Portugal. Beautiful vistas, lovely sense of open land, a lot of those permaculture principles that I was talking about. Look at that. Beautiful use of timber there. Very nice. Look at that. I can see myself sitting on that deck with my shotgun and beer. Only kidding. No shotgun here, but certainly sitting there drinking the Sagres one sunny afternoon. Very nice, Mario. Very nice place indeed. Probably no need to go through all these pictures, but a reduction in price there from 79,000 euros to 68,000 with a finance package available as well. What else can he do for you for somebody who's looking to get off grid? I'll leave you with that final picture there. Very nice. I would suit somewhere where you're able to live as well as run some sort of resort, eco resort there. So apologies for not going out on the right stream this morning. I'll do better tomorrow. And I will see you then. So if you are wondering what the hell's going on, which is going out on our net at the moment, I can understand why. And we'll be back on the Good Morning Portugal live stream tomorrow. Take care. Bye for now. Hello.